The Cincinnati Reds are hot, 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 and it's all because they are playing Terry Francona's brand of baseball.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Reds podcast. Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. My name's Steven Offenbaker. He's Jeff Carr. We are lifelong Cincinnati Reds fans. We've been podcasting about this team for a combined 14 seasons. We love the Reds. We love baseball, and we love talking Reds baseball with you. On today's show, the Reds are running into probably the most dangerous version of the Dodgers. We'll tell you why a little bit later in the show. The Reds are nearing decision time on Chase Burns. We're going to break it down here in just a few minutes. It's a little more complicated than you might think. We will begin with the most obvious signs of Terry Francona's influence yet this season on this episode that's brought to you by Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. All right, Jeff, let's start with what I guess we're going to call Titoball. Terry Francona came to Cincinnati and said a lot of things and made a lot of quasi promises about how this was going to go. And it's been a process. It's been an evolution. But ever so slowly, you've started to see his fingerprints on this team, right? You know, this is not a team he built. This is a team he inherited. There were lots of habits, lots of things he said he wanted to change. He wanted to bring accountability. He wanted to have the baseball played the right way. These are all things that he said. And I think here, as we get into the dog days, you are starting to really be able to see his control of the team, him driving the ship a little bit.
There is no more clear example of this than Sunday's game. The Reds don't win Sunday's game last year. They might not win Sunday's game earlier this year because of how that game unfolded. Think about it. The Reds had 2 runs that they scored, and on both plays that they scored those runs, the ball didn't leave the infield. This was not a good game for the lineup. They were really shut down. As much as they worked counts and they forced Shane Baz to throw a lot of pitches, he still made sure that they did not get him as much as they got him in that first inning. And so those are the types of games that the Reds lose. But they turn this into a win because Brady Singer pitched amazing. The bullpen pitched amazing, except, Graham Ashcraft did give up the lead at one point. But, ultimately, no, I'm sorry, he didn't give up the lead. I'm remembering Saturday. Anyway, Graham Ashcraft was not in this game. The whole weekend's running together because it was so awesome. Anyway,
too much Margaritaville, brother.
Too much Margaritaville. Which that I sweat too much in that shirt. Otherwise, I'd be wearing it right now. It's really hot this weekend. Anyway, the whole point was the defense paid attention to the details and kept the Rays off the board so well. I was really happy to watch that game, but it was clear that it was Terry Francona that influenced it, as he said after the fact.
You're right. I do stay in today because, if you'd have said to me, well, you won 2 out of 3, you won the series. That's not how I feel. Showed up today to want to win. Now we'll go regroup and hopefully they get, liquidated or whatever they need to get, because it was hot, and face a real good, fun Dodger team.
I think he was looking for hydrated there. Liquidated.
Yeah, one of those words, yeah. But no, I think that it's important that is the mentality. He said that whenever he was first hired. He's like, we're going to go out there and we're going to kick somebody's butt, and he didn't say butt. But that's the mentality that he wanted to instill. Doesn't matter what you did yesterday. Doesn't matter who you got tomorrow. All you can do is worry about today, and that was clear on Sunday.
I distinctly remember you and I doing a show in David Bell's last year where we talked about why this team felt like it had the ability to have throwaway games. And the team would clearly go out and have throwaway games. And yesterday's situation is one of those situations where with David Bell, we would have seen a throwaway game, lineups that didn't make sense, pitchers being put in poor situations, things like that. I love hearing from Tito, we're out here to win every day. And sometimes it doesn't work that way. But I do believe that he shows up to the ballpark every day wanting to win versus wanting to load manage the players, right? I think that's the difference.
And based on what you're saying, if David Bell is managing that ball game on Sunday. Brady Singer doesn't go that deep into the game. Tony Santillan and Emilio Pagan do not pitch. You're looking at, maybe Lyon Richardson, Ian Jabot, those guys are coming in those moments. And then you're just kind of, fingers crossed, knocking on wood, really hoping that superstition is just going to get you there. And it probably wouldn't have. And that is why I'm like, that is the Terry Francona effect on this team. And even just the mentality. I mean, the plays that the Reds were making in that ball game, there were a couple of plays that the Rays could have made that they didn't. And the Reds made every play that they had to. I was really impressed by the little things. And that is not something that I've said about this team the last 3 years.
No, and we've been begging for it though. How
Yes.
exciting is that to finally look around the room and be like, the Reds are doing this a lot better. They're doing that a lot better. They're still, and I know, okay, the comment section, I can hear the keyboards. I can actually hear them, Jeff. I can hear the keyboards because there's going to be people talking about, well, Elly still makes errors. Well, what about what's going on with, so-and-so learning to become an outfielder and Marte in the outfield, all these things. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but there has been marked improvement from the beginning of the season to now and how this team plays each day in and day out. I know Elly still occasionally makes errors, but he's looked a lot better. There's been a whole lot less of this team running itself out of innings, getting out at third base, trying to steal when it didn't need to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Lots of things different this year than there were last year. That and you're right. That is all Francona. That is his style of play. Was his ask of the team when he came in here at the beginning of the year. The Reds are kind of hot at the right time right now. This Dodgers series that we're going to get into later is big. I'm kind of excited about what's going on right now.
It's kind of the moment, think about any good baseball movie. It's kind of the moment in the movie where the team that you're following in that movie plays the team that they're likely to face in the postseason or something. And this is going to be a bit of a harrowing experience. I'm not sure what we're going to get out of the series, and I definitely want to break that down here later. But going back to his effect, what people don't really understand is how Elly has improved. And you can make the argument that he leads the league in errors. He's tied with Manny Machado. Manny Machado is widely regarded as one of the best fielders in the game. Nobody's questioning that. And they're not going to be worried about errors for much longer with Elly because everything else defensively, defensive run saved, outs above average, those are improving. The area that he has improved in a lot that we've not talked about is the base running, because according to Baseball Savant, they have a statistic called base running runs, and they kind of take into effect not just stolen bases, but also extra bases taken on plays where they don't necessarily think an extra base could have been taken. Elly De La Cruz is number one. There's no one ahead of him. There's no one around him. He is number one in Major League Baseball in base running runs. So if you want a number, if you want a statistic and not just the eye test that we had on Sunday, and you want a statistic that tells you the Tito effect on this team, it's Elly De La Cruz. The fact that he now base runs better than anybody in baseball. And I get it. He doesn't lead the league in steals, but that is not everything when it comes to base running. He has done everything else right.
He is much more a complete player, and I think that is a credit to Francona as well. I mean, you look, as of right now, us recording here on Monday morning, Jeff, slash line of 282, 362 with a slugging of 485. Would you like that slugging to tick up a little bit down the stretch? Yeah. Would you like to see him hitting for a little bit more power? Yeah, that can be addressed here before the trade deadline if they can get somebody behind him that gives him some more pitches to hit. But consider that he's hitting 280 and he doesn't get a pitch to hit. He's manufacturing that. Elly goes out each and every at bat and is manufacturing these hits. You watch his at bats. He's dinking, he's dunking, he's flipping it to the opposite field. He's doing all the things you do when you don't get a pitch to hit. And I love it. I love this evolution. He's still got, where'd it go in front of my face? 28 steals. He's been caught stealing 6 times. It's still good. And I wonder. I've been wondering this actually. And it might explain the power a little bit as well. We know the first half of this year, he was nursing something with his leg. There was something going on with his leg where it wasn't quite right. And I wonder if that's still true, because he's still not stealing an awful lot, and he's not hitting for a lot of power, even when he does get a pitch. So, there could be lower half stuff going on with him that's made him adjust. But whatever those adjustments are, he's a complete player right now. It's working. His defense is better, even though there's still errors. His defense is better. He's hitting well. If you'd asked me at the beginning of the year, is Elly De La Cruz going to hit 280? No. He's going to
just squint real hard to say
he's going to hit 240, and that's just the best we can hope for. So he's really performing above my expectations as far as that goes. But those are the things that Francona said. I keep going back to what Terry said when he got here. And if you remember, one of the very first things he did was got on an airplane and went to Elly De La Cruz. And, Elly basically told him he wants to be the best player in baseball. And Terry's like, all right, let's go. Well, you're seeing it. You look at these stats that are in front of our faces, and you see an evolution of Elly starting already. I love the direction that Elly's going right now, because once you protect him in the lineup and the power element is there again as well, he is a force in a lineup.
And there's no more. I mean, Elly, the game on Sunday, there's so many examples now that Titoball is in full effect in Cincinnati. But you know what, Steve? The Reds are nearing a point of decision with Chase Burns. We'll tell you why coming up next. If you're looking for the best way to monitor all of your money on one screen, that's monarchmoney.com. They've got your deposit accounts, your credit accounts, your investment accounts, all on one screen. That's one login to monitor your wealth. It's really helped me grow my portfolio, grow my personal wealth, because I see everything all in one spot. They help you track your spending. They help you set spending limits. Monarch Money is here for you to grow your money, because quite frankly, in this day and age, it's so easy to live paycheck to paycheck and not even understand where all the money is going. Monarch Money is going to help you out with that, and you only need one password to see it all. Check out monarchmoney.com today, and listeners of today's show are going to get 50% off your first year with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's promo code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. Start growing your wealth today with Monarch Money. Make sure you make Locked On Reds part of your everyday routine. For those of you that have, thank you so much for doing that. And if you haven't, make sure you hit that subscribe button right here on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. We'd love to have you along all the way, because we've got so much content coming for you as the trade deadline nears. The Reds are going to be busy. I believe that, as I predicted, the Reds are going to hopefully get a Eugenio Suarez. I'm about 90% sure on that. I explained that in an extra episode that actually got posted on Sunday night. Also, when it comes to this whole, day-to-day thing, Tim Daniels got you covered on the Reds postcast every single day, live at the end of every ball game. All right, Steve, speaking of every ball game, tonight, Chase Burns is on the bump, and he's going against the best lineup. I mean, quite frankly, I don't care that Mookie Betts is having a little bit of a down year. A down year for Mookie Betts is still probably like the second best hitter in the Reds lineup, if not still the best hitter in the Reds lineup. So this is the best lineup he's going to face all year. He's also entering a bit of an interesting part of the season where he's got 87 and 2/3 innings pitched total between minor leagues and major leagues. And we think that he's coming up on an innings cap that's around 120 to 130 innings. There are a couple of examples as to why, which we'll get into here in just a moment. But that means to me, the Reds have to manage this carefully, because if they look to their division rivals in the Milwaukee Brewers, the way that they are approaching Jacob Misiorowski's first professional season is a lot different than the way that the Reds are approaching Chase Burns, and that they don't have him pitch as deep into ball games as Burns does. And I kind of wonder, I mean, if you continue on along this path, we're probably talking about mid to late August, and you got to shut down Chase Burns.
Yeah, and they should shut down Chase Burns. Look, yes. The temptation is going to be there, and the questions will start coming, especially if they've secured themselves a wild card spot, or are still battling for a wild card spot. The temptation is going to be, well, you have to keep using Chase Burns. You have to keep running him out there. We've seen this in the past. the most recent example that comes to my mind, there's probably more recent examples, but Steven Strasburg was one his rookie season where he ran out of innings and the Nationals did not mess around. They were like, oh, he's done. I don't care. He's not pitching anymore. And they held to that. And it's going to take a little, a little courage from the front office's standpoint to do that. It'll be an easier decision if Hunter Green comes back ready to pitch. It'll be easier to shut down Chase Burns when that happens, but they absolutely have to do it. 4 extra starts this year it's not worth the potential damage to the subsequent years on Chase Burns' arm. So I agree with you. 8 starts sounds about right. You proposed an interesting scenario to mirror a little bit above what the Milwaukee Brewers are doing with their young phenom that the Reds could do here, which is to limit the amount of innings per start artificially and just say he is not going to pitch past 4 innings, 5 innings, whatever that number is, in order to squeeze out more starts. I don't really like that either. I don't think it's an option, but I don't think it gains you enough to put the extra pressure on the bullpen, right?
Right.
I think you utilize Chase Burns until you get Hunter Green back, and you just have to hope that Hunter Green gets back here and is ready to pitch down the stretch.
So to kind of lay out the plan as I see it, it's not public knowledge what the innings cap is for the Reds, but you can kind of glean some information from how they handled Andrew Abbott, Nick Lodolo, and Hunter Green in their first professional seasons and things like that as to how they might approach Chase Burns. And that would lead me to believe 120 to 130 is the range, because when you look at how they managed, like, for instance, Andrew Abbott, his first full season of professional baseball, the Reds limited him to 118 innings across the minors and the majors. If you want to squint and say, okay, let's add in the cup of coffee that he got after he was drafted in 2021, then that's 131 innings. That's squinting as hard as you can. That's over 2 years, though, so I'd still say it's more like the 118. Nick Lodolo is an interesting case because he got messed up by COVID in as far as his schedule goes. He was drafted in 2019, pitched for a half a second after he was drafted. Then he went to Prasco in 2020, and he pitched a little bit in 2021, but he had blister issues in AA that year, and that's why you don't see a lot of innings in that season. So when you put it all together, before he was called up, he pitched 81 2/3 innings. And so then his first year in the majors, he only pitched 103. And then Hunter Green, of course, long runway in the minors, at least years-wise, from when he was drafted to when he was called up. But injuries kind of shortened all of those different seasons for one reason or another. So he had not as many minor league innings as you would have expected from a guy who started in 2017, but he still had a longer runway than the other guys. They gave him 125 2/3 innings in the majors in 2022, whenever he was first called up. When you put that together with the fact he pitched 7 innings in Louisville before that call up in 2022, okay, 132 innings. Congrats. We've got our range. It's 120 to 130 innings. And if you say that Chase Burns is going to average, because this is what I'm doing, going to say that he averages 5 innings a start, that's where I'm getting the 8 starts, because that's 40 innings. That would put him at 127 innings total across the minors and the majors this season. I think that's what we're looking at, which would put him right there around September, depending on if they play around with off days or if they give him a week here or there, something like they skip a start or two. But I don't think that means, Chase Burns is not going to be part of this playoff rotation.
And that basically means that Hunter Green, you're on the clock. You've got 3 weeks to figure it out because there's nobody else. It's Hunter Green or nobody, really.
Carson Spires had Tommy John. He's done. Yeah. Yep. I don't think Wade Miley's coming back. I know that they're still talking about it possibly, but I think the value that he brings to this team is in the locker room. That's why you see him in the dugout and he's with everybody. Like when they're celebrating and things, he's with the group. But I don't think that he's going to be on the mound for the Reds at any time soon. So you're looking at Hunter Green. You're praying that something changes with Rhett Lauder, but I think at this point we're probably not going to see him. And Green is in the middle of some rehab starts. We'll see how that goes for him because he was doing the thing and then the groin acted up again. And so they shut him down again. So hopefully this time around, that's what happened a couple of weeks ago. This time around, hopefully he goes smoothly for this, because I think that the personal development of Chase Burns takes precedent over what the team could use, because they could push him as hard as they possibly could. But then we might be talking about a Mark Pryor situation where, all right, you get a couple of good years out of him. Then what? Then what happens? And the Reds in all of Major League Baseball, this is not just a Reds thing, but all of Major League Baseball has decided you treat pitchers with kid gloves their first couple of professional seasons until they're used to this routine, and then you let them go. Right now is not the time to just let them go.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, Jeff, because it is going to be a difficult decision, I think, for the Reds when the time comes as to whether or not to shut down Chase Burns. But listen, the mighty Dodgers, the Los Angeles Ohtanis are coming to town for a 3-game set starting today. We're going to talk about that series coming up next.
Have you ever gone somewhere and been asked, when's the game start? Well, that's probably because you're repping your team loud and proud, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's Game Day Hue to help you be a little bit more subtle. Game Day Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. This is the hat right here. It is super stylish. Look at that. It's got the great Reds color there, and it's got a nice little, the white cord across the bill and all that great stuff. Very nice looking, stylish, but very subtle. And they've also got these great golf gloves. If you want to go out on the golf course and rep your team colors, again, Game Day Hue is going to help you rep your team colors in style everywhere you go. Right now, you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue.com. And again, the code is MLB15. The code even stacks on bundle deals. So now is the time to stock up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com, code MLB15.
That Game Day Hue golf glove is slick. I bet you look amazing on the course, Jeff, ripping your drive out of bounds. I bet you just look great doing it.
Hey, sometimes it goes into the bunker too. Sometimes.
If you can't watch us on YouTube, you can listen to us on your favorite podcasting app. We're seriously on just about every single one of them. If you find one we're not on and you need us to be on it, message Jeff. You can make it happen. Also, make sure you checked out Locked On MLB Game Night. They watch every game every night so that you don't have to. They've got every expert from the Locked On Network contributing to tell you what's going on in Major League Baseball each and every night. You can find that in the Locked On MLB feed. All right, Jeff, it's that time of year. The mighty Los Angeles Dodgers and their $700 billion payroll are coming to town. I'm kind of excited for this one. The Reds have consistently played up to the level of their competition all season long. In recent years, we have seen the Reds win this series with the Dodgers. If they can pull that off again right now at this time, 6 games over 500 for the first time in the year, all of this has the makings of a really great series of baseball out at GABP.
It really does. And you're talking about the best swing that you're getting from this Dodgers rotation currently. They've been really unhealthy this year. They've had a lot of injuries that they've worked through, but the Reds are facing Yoshinobu Yamamoto tonight, Tyler Glasnow tomorrow, and Shohei Ohtani on Wednesday. Now Ohtani's going to do the rehab thing, probably only pitches like 2 innings, maybe 3 innings at the most. So that's going to be kind of nice. It's going to be a bullpen day for them. But they've been going through bullpen days all year. They're ready for the bullpen days. And the reason that I'm worried the most about this Dodgers series isn't necessarily because they are the most expensive team in baseball and the most talented team in baseball, but they're a wounded dog, man. They are backed into a corner right now. They are 5-12 in their last 17 ball games. That is not who this Los Angeles Dodgers team is. Maybe they're taking it a little bit easy during the dog days of summer. I don't know, but they're still scoring runs. They're not getting shut out. It's going to be a bit of a dogfight for the Reds in this series. I'm a little worried as to how they're going to come out of this, because you're right. Like, they've played the Dodgers really well over the last few years, and the Dodgers know it. The Dodgers are not going to be coming in taking the Reds for granted, and it's going to be a bit of a battle. And I found this interesting too. Another clip from Terry Francona after Sunday's win. He was asked if the Reds are playing their best ball, and he had a great Tito answer for it.
Oh, I will never say that, because the minute I say that, here come the Dodgers. That's like the kiss of death.
He gets it. He gets it. It's gonna be a tough series, but it's gonna be one that's a lot of fun to watch, especially to see how Chase Burns reacts to this lineup.
Speaking of this lineup is scary. You look up and down it right now. They have 5 guys in this lineup, Jeff, that are 124 in OPS plus or better. Of those 5 guys, listen to this. Of those 5 guys, 2 of them are 170 or better. Will Smith has an OPS plus of 170. Shohei Ohtani is at 176. This lineup is formidable. And I guess what you got to do is you just can't let them score runs in bunches. I think the approach to this Dodgers lineup is if you give up a home run, make sure you didn't put anybody on base before you do, because they're going to get their fair share. Shohei Ohtani hitting at GABP at the end of July, that could be a show. He's got 38 home runs right now, 71 RBIs. He leads the league in homers and runs scored. He scored 99 runs already. He is impressive, and getting to watch him pitch as well. I'm really excited about that. Our group chat with me, you, and our buddy Tim Daniel over at the Postcast. I was saying that, I'm really excited to watch Ohtani pitch. I hope he goes out and pitches like the first 2 innings scoreless, and then the Reds absolutely unload on the Dodgers bullpen. That would make me happy. That would be a good day out at the ballpark, because I really, and I'll die on this particular hill. Shohei Ohtani is the best baseball player there's ever been. And I know that's going to really ruffle the feathers of some people, but there has not been a baseball player better than Shohei Ohtani.
There's not a flaw in his game. I mean, if he's hitting singles all day, he can steal bases. If he's going to hit home runs, as we saw. Like, if it weren't for the big dumper, he'd be leading the major leagues in home runs right now. But Cal Rowley's got over 40 already. That's insane to me. But as happy as we are that Elly is playing as good as he is, he's close to 4 WAR. The Dodgers already have 2 guys over 4 WAR in Will Smith and Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani's the best in the game. Will Smith is the best catcher in the game. And quite frankly, there's a dude right now that's having a down season. And I say that with quotes, but down season, because currently Mookie Betts has an OPS plus of 91. And if you are going to tell me that is who Mookie Betts is, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you, because he ain't that.
Not even
He's going to figure it out.
Nope.
He's going to figure it out soon. So, and look, Chase Burns is the kind of guy that this lineup is begging to face, because if Burns gets wild and if Burns has trouble walking people, like you said, there's going to be guys on base for Will Smith, and there's going to be guys on base for Shohei Ohtani and his 619 slugging machine. I said that, Steve, 619. He leads the league in plate appearances, and he leads the league in slugging. That's ridiculous.
With an OPS of 998. My God.
Oh, it's not above 1,000. Oh man, I forget. Oh,
he's slacking.
I didn't see that.
Shohei's slacking.
Not above 1,000. What are we doing here? What is he doing? Oh yeah, no, I'm just kidding, of course. But that's going to be the thing here, is that they're coming into this series and they've been sputtering as of late. Now I say that, knowing that there's still 16 games over 500, but they have really been sputtering. They're 7 games under 500 for the last 17 ball games. They are not going to want to lose to this Reds team again, because they know what's happened the last couple of years facing them. And quite frankly, it's all been at Great American Ballpark that the Reds have played very well against the Dodgers. It seems as though the Dodgers just don't know how to pitch to the Reds when it comes to Great American Ballpark. But Yoshinobu Yamamoto is not a guy that is just going to pump fastballs down the middle of the strike zone. He's going to hit the corners. This guy's going to be a tough out here on Monday night. And then you've got the guys in Glasnow and Ohtani that are both good pitchers too.
And there is the X factor of this. There is no stat, really. I mean, we could go dig up all the stats, but this particular thing doesn't have a stat. But Elly likes playing the Dodgers. Elly likes to go off playing the Dodgers. This would be a great time for Elly to just go off. It would really be fun to watch.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that, because in his career against the Los Angeles Dodgers, Elly slashes 294 with a 379 on base and 549 slugging. He has hit a pair of home runs in 13 games against him. But the thing with Elly is that he has 15 hits in 13 games against the Dodgers. He's just ready to rise to the occasion in this series. I'll be interested to see how he faces Yamamoto. Yamamoto's got the junk, right? He throws really good junk. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Elly manages around that, because he did not see Shane Baz's knuckle curveball at all on Sunday. He was getting absolutely baffled by that pitch. And Yamamoto's got some junk that's it's probably better than that. So I'll be interested to see if he keeps at bay, because he played really well on Friday and Saturday, and he kind of showed up and didn't get a hit on Sunday. So does he bounce back against a team that he plays well against? That's going to be the interesting X factor in this series. And then, of course, hopefully by Tuesday or Wednesday, he'll have a guy hitting behind him that can hit the ball out of the ballpark and into the river. But, hopefully.
If you haven't watched Jeff's big swing, the bonus episode is in the feed. Go check it out. He all but guarantees Eugenio Suarez becoming a member of the Cincinnati Reds. Make sure you go and check that out. And that
got plenty of reasons as to why, too. Plenty of reasons.
That is where we're going to wrap up this edition of Locked On Reds. Thanks, as always, for making us your first listen each and every day. Make sure you check out Tim Daniel on the Reds postcast after each and every Reds game. He's going to go live telling you and breaking down what you just saw. Now go check out the Locked On ML feed. We got our buddy Sully over there giving you baseball from a national perspective. And we've got MLB Game Night where they're watching every single game so that you don't have to. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you got that notification bell clicked, because there could be big news coming. And when it does come, we will drop in extra coverage just for you right here in the Locked On Reds feed. We're going to keep gathering up the news, the notes, the information, the rumors, and the reports to keep you locked on Reds every single day.
If you say that something is reverse psychology, then does it reverse the reverse psychology? Because if it does, then I'm not going to say that what we did was reverse psychology.
Oh, boy. Gonna hurt yourself with those mental gymnastics.
Mental pretzel.